Okay, so that was quite an awesome show, I thought, but also the Matildas, 4-0. Hello. I'm feeling a World Cup victory now. Who's feeling it too? But let's talk about housing. Put your hand up if your mind has been changed tonight. By anything on the housing question. Have you been convinced by anything that our panellists have said?
No.
Well, clearly you haven't been convinced. You think we need to do more?
Absolutely, which I think, sorry, I've got a 30-year-old son who's renting at the moment. His rent's gone up 10%, so he's struggling to even make ends meet with the income he's getting. And the house that he's living in is really quite run down and not looked after by the person who owns it. And it's very frustrating. There's nothing he can really do about it, and he couldn't find anywhere else to live if he wanted to. So there's no housing available for people. Maybe we need to do flat pack and put something up on a block, you know, from a factory and do it cheaply. Because there's plenty of land in Australia. We should be able to do better.
How about the question of migration?
Yeah, I don't really know. I need to do a little bit more research myself. I think that the number seems a little bit high compared to previous years, but there might be more reasons for that. I haven't looked into it too much.
Well, the government says they do provide a reason, which is that it's a COVID catch-up. Is that convincing?
No, I don't think so. I think that you still need to base your decisions like on now as opposed to just saying, oh, we're catching up from COVID. Like, what are the reasons today, like, that we need more migration? Where are there industries that are lacking? Like, what are those industries, and can they be filled by Australians, or do we need to have migration to help fill those gaps?
That's really interesting. How about everyone else? Oh, there's a hand up there. I've got to go right up the stairs, but you know what? I'm feeling fit tonight. Well, if you can't have your hand up that high and not have someone walk to you, nice to meet you too. On the nice to meet you. I like you too. On the migration question, do you think we should limit our migration numbers?
Well, I'm a lawyer and immigration lawyer. I want migrants come in. However, we short of house supply and building. We stuck with it, and how we fund it, and the people lost jobs, and people try to get business try to get staff, but the staff can't get a right wage, and the right wage can't get the house for rental shortage, and then buying the house is difficulty to process the loan also for low income, middle income, even mixed got to be 120 something thousand, not even enough for people to get past that. So I want Kate Gallagher to work on it. It's a federal, so to get people to get into the house, because lots of people homeless. Young children.
Do you think the government's doing enough to help people with housing?
Not fast enough. I think it's not fast enough. It's got to take action, moving faster, more important for getting people into the house, safety for kids, safety for women, and women feel confident into the workforce, and family support men and women together and build up the family community and the business, and migrant come in, build business, and we can grow from that, economy recovery after that.
Yeah, I'm not a lawyer. I'm an environmental engineer, and the facts are that we have to make tough choices in most things in life. Unfortunately, we can't just keep growing the population. Eventually, we have to make a choice on when to stop. To be frank, I think we should consider stopping now rather than waiting until we're standing, as Luke said, we're falling into the sea.
But we're far from that right now, aren't we?
Really? We're already consuming as a planet far more than, and I think the statistics are something like 13 planets worth of resources being consumed.
That's right, globally, but I'm talking our own footprint.
Australia is mostly desert. We don't have much arable land. Only 10% of the original ecosystem, natural ecosystem remains. Do we really want to destroy more? Is that really what we want?
I can see somebody with their hand up. I'm not sure. Is it to refute that argument? Is it to endorse it? I'm waiting and I'm handing over the microphone.
I'm first generation Filipino. My mum is a nurse, and the reality is that in much of their care economy, including nursing, it's Filipino women and Asian women who are doing these jobs that many Australian people don't want to do. And that's just one example. I'd also make a note about population in general and housing supply, that I think that supply is happening in a way that doesn't reflect contemporary aspirations, like this assumption that people want to live in big blocks of land, big houses with lawns and such. It doesn't reflect how we want to live. It doesn't reflect the environmental reality of the world that we live in now. And so I think that I already lived through the 90s with immigration being used as a scapegoat, as a way of explaining social problems that were not because of migration. And I feel horrified to think that we're in this position where we're using that again.
Hand the mic behind you.
So I just want to address the previous point that you brought up here. You're talking about migration, stopping migration as a form of, I guess, making sure we don't... Sustainability, sure. Making sure we don't run out of resources. And I'm all for not running out of resources, but these people already exist. I guess population control, I suppose, is a different issue, but migrants already exist. And I feel that Australia is better placed than most other countries to accommodate these people. So where else, I guess, would you suggest they go, if not Australia?
I'll let you answer it, and then I'm taking the mic to go to my people down there.
Should we take the whole of India? Would that be the right thing to do then? I mean, where do we stop? This is the point. We have to make choices, and I think a lot of people would like to stop now, and I'm one of those.
Okay. I think there are a range of views in the community, and it's important to have the discussion respectfully, which I think we are here, but also be able to have it, because I think there are different views about the level of migration and the way, as you were raising. I remember the 90s too, and we don't want to go back to toxic places.
I'm a first-generation migrant, and I agree that the migration number should lower or stop now. We do have a lot of resources, but we do have limited resources, especially now, energy, housing, and look at the federal government and the state governments, the debt is skyrocketing. If we bring in too many people, and if people are coming in for welfare or other stuff instead of doing other stuff or contributing. So it is going to put a burden on the federal and the state government.
Business is calling for more workers, though.
Yes, but as someone else just now said, where are our younger generation who should do those jobs? There are a lot of jobs in the farm that our younger generation.
All right, this is firing up the young people. When I hear the younger generation should do more, I look to the younger generation and I can see that they have something to say. You're going to get the microphone, that's right. I see a school uniform, I get excited.
So, thank you. I'd just like to respond and say that I feel like if migrants do a better job than the younger generation, I feel like they deserve the job more than our younger generation living in Australia. Also,
on what basis?
Just on the basis that if it should be based on pure effort, our jobs, and not based on like where you've come from, because I feel that if you want to live in Australia, you should have that right, and yeah.
Interesting perspective. Okay, now, I'd love to stay here all night, guys, but time is limited. You'll have to come again to another Melbourne show. I did catch a hand over here, sorry, before, and I don't neglect those hands if I see them early.
I was just going to say, on the basis of like housing and immigration isn't the issue. The issue is the inequalities within the whole like housing market. Like tonight there's been all this discussion about homeowners, but there's been nothing about renters' rights.
We have talked a bit about rent.
Yeah, limited though.
Sure.
Like and a lot of like, and most of the government are homeowners, or a lot of them have investment properties as well. Yet we're looking at like way that the rental market is happening, rental increases are just going berserk. Renters are on lower income, typically more casualised workforces, and we're expected to, I don't know, pay for raising interest rates. A rental, like a investment property, is that an investment? It's a risk. And yet our lives and our ability to kind of be in society and have a place over our heads is at the mercy of landlords. And also within that, we don't have rights. There's all the talk about the...
How grumpy is your generation?
Oh, fucking sick of it. Like, come on.
We don't allow swearing here at the ABC, but I understand passions. And I understand that feeling of intergenerational unfairness, which lots of young people express. You're my final question tonight, or statement.
Oh, I just thought I'd weigh on the migration conversation. I think that where you're born can either condemn you to a life of severe poverty or a life of affluence, as in being born in Australia. And our migration policy should reflect that inequity, and we should accommodate immigration because of that. But I think that the way that migration policy is set up, are we really accommodating the most vulnerable? One of the things that Australia could really do, I think, is significantly increase its asylum seeker intake, right, to accommodate some of the world's most vulnerable. The Business Council of Australia, yes, is lobbying for higher levels of skilled migration. Is that the most equitable way to structure our migration policy? I actually do understand people's concerns around immigration and supply, and I think that there's validity to that concern. But I think we also have to acknowledge the fact that Australia is a very wealthy country, and we should be looking after, as a global citizen, the world's poor and vulnerable and accommodating them. So how do we balance those two things is an important part of this question, I think.
Well, part of how we balance it is having good conversations like this. Thank you so much for coming to Q&A tonight. Tell your friends, come along again. Yeah, let's just come along again, okay? I'm Patricia Karvelas. Thank you so much.